Welcome back to Online Darts, everyone. It's the new year, but we had to get Mace in. Mace, first of all, how's things? It's been a while.
Yeah.
Feeling better now?
Yeah, good. Still a little bit rough, but yeah, I've had the lurgy that's been going around. I managed to avoid it just about during the Worlds, which was ideal because, as you know, it was a rather heavy workload. But yeah, back down in Portsmouth and played night one of the League of Legends week.
First of all, the Worlds itself, what's your overall takeaway from it?
Pretty much as we expected, I think. Didn't expect so many casualties, but it was something that we've discussed many times about burnout and managing your diary, really. But we did myself and Mark Webster did a preview just before the final. I think we both, between us, got it back on. I thought Luke would win 7-4. Didn't think he'd win that convincingly as it was 7-3. And as I thought, Michael just wanted it too much. And by the time he sort of settled into the final, he was too far adrift and just couldn't peg him back.
Look, it was only a matter of time until Luke won a world title. Is it good for him, the sport, and everyone that it's done early and out of the way, so questions aren't being asked all the time?
Yeah, I think that's a great show. Look at the pressure Michael was under first time around. Yeah, I think for him, look at the pressure Michael Smith was under for years, and how that affected his career. Dave Chisnell, another one. Terry Jenkins, another one. Mike Gregory, if you want to go all the way back when, even to a certain degree, myself in that 2-year period, back-to-back semis, and it was my undoing because I wanted to win it too badly. And I think for Luke now that the pressure's off, he's a multiple major winner. He's won the Premier League. There isn't too many things that he has left to win, and no doubt throughout the course of this year, next year, and the year after, I think he'll win every single one of them that he wants to win.
Secretly, if you'd have said to Michael pre-World Championships, you'll get to the final, considering where he was, do you think internally he'd have taken that? Yeah,
I think so. He's a great winner and he's a great loser, if you know what I mean. He doesn't take losing well, which I also don't like to see, but he's very complimentary to his opponent, and he deals with it how he should deal with it. He doesn't accept it, but gives them their props. And I think making a final, considering what he had to defend and where that puts him ranking-wise for the rest of the year, it was a very successful World Championships. But the expectations over the years have been so much on Michael that we thought, we both secretly thought, when we seen the odds initially, I think you could get him as big as 12.
12's the biggest, yeah, biggest I saw.
That was madness, but yeah, just unfortunately for Michael, he's sort of running into a version of him probably in 6-7 years ago, and that's just the way it all goes in cycles, doesn't it?
Have you seen enough from Michael to suggest that he can get back, like, not dominating, because I don't think that'll ever happen, but to suggest that he can get back to where he believes he can be?
Listen, he's got a good enough game to win tournaments, but you need to. I've always said it. I don't like to use the word luck, and people get a bit confused. But I suppose if you've not played sport, especially individual sport, you won't understand it. You need that bit of good fortune. You need a bit of a rub. And if you're not getting the rub, it don't matter how good you are. People will find a way, or the stars will not align for you. And if the stars align for him, he can win majors. There's no question. His tournament average was not far off of Luke's. But the problem is Luke's stealing the limelight. Look at that set he had against Ryan Meikle.
11-10-11.
11-10-11. We've never seen anything like it before. Certainly not on a TV stage. So yeah, it's tough for them all at the moment. Look at the casualties we had in there of players we expected to do well. The one I was really pleased with was Dobie, because he sort of put last year's nightmare behind him. Didn't show up in the semi-final, but again, it's experience and he'll learn from it. But right now, on reflection, I know Michael's in Thailand at the moment enjoying a lovely family holiday. It looks fabulous. On reflection, although massively disappointed not to win a fourth, it's a great start to 2025 for him.
Yeah, other than Luke, who are the big winners and big losers of this year's Worlds?
I think Dobie. I think, and getting in the Premier League, of course. I think that was big for him. I think Michael. I think Luke as well. You know, and Bunty. A great tournament for Bunty. Again, secures his place in the Premier League, which is great for his even at his age, but great for his development and profile. He's very much embracing the social media side of things right now, and he seems to be enjoying it. And listen, anything anybody does to put more eyes on our sport, I applaud them. It's not my cup of tea, but yeah, good luck to him.
Yeah, look, obviously there was casualties as well. Rob Cross losing early, the manner of the performance, as well. At one point, the Seeds just couldn't win a game. Chizzy struggling again just to win on TV. Ultimately, cost him a Premier League spot. So there's some question marks at the start of this year around some of these Seeds.
Yeah, and looking back, it was lovely to see Joe Cullen go up there and play the way he can.
Don't mind, I'm coming on to that in a minute.
Yeah, listen, there's some worries, isn't there? And I mean, we're filming this Friday.
Bahrain final tonight. And Rob Cross went out to Nebreda and with a bit of a whimper, wasn't it? It was not good. I'm not quite sure what's going on with his game. I had a great practice with him when he was doing an exhibition locally to the pub. And yeah, we played 20 odd legs of darts, and his game looked in a good place. He appeared to be in a good place, but across the period of the Worlds and last night, he just seems to be having. But again, you can't control form. You can try and play yourself in and out of form, or sort of play yourself into form when you're out of form. But he doesn't seem to be able to do that at the moment, and he shouldn't be losing a game like that last night. I think Nebreda averaged 80 odd. Which well, low 80s as well, was it?
Yeah, it wasn't special. You don't mind, listen, if the guy goes up and averages late 90s and doesn't miss doubles, you sort of, you know, and look at the difference the way Luke Humphries bounced back last night, 100 odd average, 6 out of 6 on the doubles.
Big finishes. And
looked $1 million, didn't he? And I suppose that's maybe where the difference is at the moment with Rob. He just doesn't seem to be there. But again, that's form.
Look, on Luke Humphries, has his World Championship reign been underrated slightly? Because for me, he's one of the best champions we've had. The way he carried himself throughout the whole year, from the moment he won it to the moment he lost to Peter, the way he carried himself is up there with one of the very best title reigns I've seen.
Absolutely, he's the perfect poster boy, isn't he, for darts? He's classy on and off the hockey, always respectful. I admire him because I remember him first time round, and very much like Ross Smith, they went away and came back and reinvented themselves. And I just, the reason why Luke's the perfect advert for our game, because he's done everything at every level, and it's been timed to perfection. And he has gone under the radar, unfortunately. We talk a lot about forgotten eras of darts and players in generations that you forget how good they were, and I hope he's not one of those, because he's classy. And I think he's going to have a fabulous year. I think he was under a lot of pressure last year. I think defending the Players' Championships was huge for him. He couldn't really do a lot about Peter Wright in round 2 at the Worlds. Peter Wright was unbelievable. He was unbelievable. He just barely missed, and when that happens, you just sort of go, it is what it is, and you move on. And he's moved on. He's obviously worked hard over the period leading up to the start of the season, as if there's an end to it. And he looks like he's ready to go in 2025, and he's going to be a serious threat.
You talk about pressure. There's a reason why not many people have defended this title, because of that pressure that goes with it.
Exactly that. I mean, you know, when was the last time someone defended it? Anderson, wasn't
Gary,
it?
15-16.
Yeah, 15-16. And ironically, it was won back-to-back by Lewis, and then since then... Yeah,
well, Gary getting to 3 finals is just remarkable.
Yeah, but listen, do I expect Littler to defend it this year? I'm not so sure. It's not a given.
No, I agree.
It's not a given. He's earning... what I worry about is earning so much money. Is that desire going to be there?
Yeah.
You know, like Marvin Hagler says, is getting up on those cold, wet mornings when you're in silk pyjamas and got silk chalk sheets is the desire to get up and go there. I don't know. I hope so. Listen, he seems to love the game, and he's a very level-headed young man. And listen, it's exciting, isn't it? This year is going to be incredible. Obviously, the news of the new TV deal. I'm not sure whether it's going to be this year, but next year I think it'll be £1 million the winner.
Yeah, we'll come on to that in a minute. The Worlds itself, we had players moaning that they weren't respected, and we saw it from Nathan and Joe. They did it in different ways. Nathan just said his piece and said, look, I'm better than what you guys are giving me credit for. But Joe's one seemed very premeditated as well. What's your take on all this?
I don't understand that. They point the finger at the media, right? But when did anybody ever say anything? If he's talking about, say, we've done a build-up show, and we go, right, well, and I don't want to use Joe as example, I love him to bits, right, but just say player A, right, let's have a look at his form, let's have a look at his previous Worlds, let's have a look at his TV form this year, let's have a look at his floor form this year. All that analysis, that's where the odds compilers come up with their odds for stuff. So all we're actually doing is looking over everything they're looking over. Like, I don't know anybody that doesn't like Joe, especially in the media. He's one of you guys' favourites because he gives you so much, and he's very open, he's approachable, he's a fun guy. But I just think what happens is, I mean, I went through that same thing, and you do feel disrespected. But if your form's poor, it's not a personal thing. You know, I don't do a prediction on who I want to win against. You know, that's like when Richie Burnett had a tour card. I absolutely adore the guy, but if he was playing against Luke Humphries, I wouldn't pick Richie because I love him. I'd do my picks on the basis of probability and numbers, because that's what the game gives us. So I sort of get where they're coming from, but I don't. But I sort of get their frustration. Having been a player once upon a time, I sort of get it. But all it is he's taking his frustration out on the first people he can speak to. And who's the first people you speak to when you come off stage? You lot.
Interesting. You touched on the new TV deal, not announced officially by Sky or the PDC yet, but obviously it's been leaked in the tabloids, which is where we picked it up. Great news, great money, a real landmark deal for darts.
Yeah, enormous. So they've effectively doubled their fee. I mean, I'm not sure how long. I've seen an interview with Barry. I've not heard Matt speak on it with a lot of detail, but hearing Barry talk about what the deal was and how much things like rugby was getting and everything else, and he's gone in there super aggressive, and other people came in for it, which gave him the armory to sort of deal with Sky. But listen, Chuffed Bits is still on Sky. They're a great platform. They do a great job. And ultimately, it's sort of loyalty both ways, I suppose. Because listen, Sky were the first people that
took the risk on.
Took the risk right back in the beginning. Jeff Stelling, 18 months, 2 years after it all started, I got involved, and they were creative. They took risks. They were committed, and they loved the darts. And it's great that both sides have come to an agreement. Which, listen, right now, obviously, they wouldn't be paying that kind of money if it wasn't worth it commercially. And congratulations to all involved. I'm chuffed to bits.
Look, the PDC normally get a lot of stuff right, but there's been some rule changes for this year that I don't understand. Look, we'll do the easier ones first of all.
Is there an easier one?
I like the 16 seeds for the World Grand Prix because it brings it back in line, and everyone's saying, oh, those other eight players were in the tournament anyway. It just means they're fixed in a bracket.
Yeah.
So it doesn't affect who is in there. So I like that one.
I agree. I think that's how it should be. If you're going to pick it from the two order of merits, the priority goes to the the official order of merit. So you've got your best 16 players for effectively a 2-year, 18-month period, and your best 16 players in 9-10 months. I think it's perfect.
Yeah, the Euro Tour one we'll come on to. The Dev Tour and playing, they've now upped it to the if once you're in the 64. Good. Again, it's not gone far enough, but I like it still. It's a step. Yeah, it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, and I think, listen, they whether they admit it or not, all the interviews you guys do, they'll pick and choose and go, actually, they may have a point there. I honestly, I will stick to my guns. We've discussed this over and over. 24-year-old is not a youth champion.
And if you've got a tour card,
you're developed. If you don't want your tour card, don't take it. Yeah. You can, it's not a rule. Oh, you want a tour card, you've got to take it. I remember a young lad from London, Dean Reynolds. He I remember him turning it down because he didn't feel that it would work out for him at that particular time. And listen, there's been players that have got tour cards who I've given advice to and said, look, don't do it. You're not ready. I think, that's mine.
The Euro Tour one, though, has caused massive controversial, and fans have reacted. We haven't had a chance to speak to players yet, but I'm sure they'll have their say. Does this switch make the top 16 the ultimate protected club now?
Yeah and no, right? I don't understand the complaints when there's qualifying opportunities, right? I don't get it, right? If you're good enough, you're qualified, right? I can understand now the fact that they're guaranteed money, but I think, what do we hear all the time about first round losers in the Pro Tours don't get any money, right? I don't agree with that either, because you're in a tournament. Yeah. Find me a tournament where you don't get money for losing first round. There isn't one, is there? They're not playing in an open. No. They've not paid in an entry fee. The PDC are garnering money via their stream, and you're playing on their platform, which is generating their money. You lose, you don't get anything. Damn right. Yeah. Damn right. Even if it was 500 quid. I've just signed a £125 million deal. What's it going to cost them? Look at the money Q School generates. Look at the money the European Tour's generating. If they're talking about giving out £1 million to the winner of the Worlds, not this year, next year, I don't have a problem with the top 16 in the world being seeded in and being guaranteed their money. I don't see a problem. There's no fewer qualification places, is there?
It's not I think, this is the way I look at it, and I'll take Cameron Menzies as an example here, because he's trying to burst in to get into that top 32 and so on, and then get to the top 16. Now, on the old system, he would be seeded because he was in the Pro Tour 16. Yeah. Now, he goes back to being a non-seed. Yeah. So
he has to win a game.
They all have to win a game to get the ranking money still. But what I'm saying is, if that seed, which is now a top 16 player, wins one game, the ones chasing now have to win 4 or 5 games to match the money. So by them winning that one game, it's making it so much more difficult for the chasers. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, I do. But I think I also think that. I don't know. I look at it. If I was a player, that would give me more drive to be a top 16 player, so I can get those benefits.
I get that, but the problem is, for me, looking at it, it's so.
But the prize money is not big enough. It's not like, I'd understand if it was like World Championship prize money, but we're not talking about. It's 30 grand a winner, right? What's the Pro Tour now? 12 or 15? Yeah. Come on. It's not like they're being gifted 40s and 50s, which means you'd have to win God knows how many Pro Tours.
I get that. I just think.
I think the elite should be rewarded. I'm not an elitist, by the way, but if you were saying to me, they're restricting people's opportunities. That's a different conversation, and I don't think they are. I think what they're doing is rewarding the players for being elite, and you should get that.
But also, does that now
I'm going to get some hate.
But also, does that now make the Pro Tour almost completely irrelevant to the top players?
I don't think it's that important anyway anymore. I don't.
Should it be? It's the bread and butter. It's the heartbeat of the tour.
Yeah,
should it be important?
Yeah. What is there?
34.
34.
So now, effectively, those top 16 players will make sure they've got 15 grand-ish on their ranking, so they're in Minehead.
Yeah.
And count it off.
Yeah. Yeah, that is the risk. But then, that's a good thing for the chasing pack, isn't it?
Yeah, no,
because, I mean, you've got to be in the top 64 for the players anyway, in the Players' Championship Order of Merit. UK Open you're in anyway. Take away the Order of Merit rankings. If you're in that second pool of top 16 players, you're in the match play and you're in the Grand Prix, do well in those, you've got a great chance of qualifying for the Slam. That's another conversation. That Slam needs sorting out as well.
Well, we haven't had anything on that for this year, so we don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah, we haven't heard, but yeah, that's another one they need to adjust. But listen, all of these experiments they do, if they don't work, they change. This is the beauty about the PDC. They don't go, right, here's the rules, that's it. Right? They'll run it for a year and go, don't work. Like next year, I'm sure there's going to be a change to the Premier League, and just because they'll just change it, because they'll find a way of making it more exciting and try and reinvent it. They'll do the same with the Slam this year. I don't know anything, but obviously being part of it for 20 odd years, 30 years, I sort of, they do a pattern, and they'll experiment with things. They'll see the feedback from the players, they'll look how it has affected the rankings, they'll look how it's affected the opportunities for others. If it doesn't all align, they'll go, do you know what, we got that wrong, we'll change it, we'll do it this way.
Well, on the Premier League, the lineup is out. What's your initial thoughts on it, the lineup itself?
What do they miss out? 6, 7, 8 and put 9, 10 and 11 in?
6, 7 and 8 missed out.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. I don't. Listen, I'd love to. One, I'd love to have played in it. Two, I'd love to have won it. Would I? Does it carry that much prestige?
For the players, I think when you listen to the players, it does. The players.
They think it's big. I wouldn't.
A lot of them would sell their left arm if they're right-handed to play in the Premier League.
If you told me to list off all the Premier League winners,
but it's well, like, as a pundit and as a fan, you talk that, but when you listen to the players, they'd sell their soul.
Yeah, I look at it more as a promotional, branding, almost exhibition type event. I know. Listen, it's a fabulous event, and it's brilliant for the PDC. I mean, it's a great advert, and it carries a lot of credibility with the media and dart fans. You know what I mean? I sort of know, just like it's like, you know what it's like when you're walking around the supermarket and people know who you are, they'll talk about it.
Yeah.
The events that they don't talk about, that gives you sort of an insight into the ones that people think are important or enjoy. I certainly know what it's like in the pub. For the first 6, 7 weeks, the pub's full of people, because we do that thing in there, you can win a 50 quid bar tab if you predict the first 4 matches. By week 10, no one's bothering coming out for it, they're not interested. So but from a personal view, having gone as a fan on a few occasions, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I think it's brilliant. You know what I would have done? 12 players, 12 weeks, 6 matches a night. It's only 1 match less than what they get now. After 12 weeks, the 12 becomes 8, and you go to its format now for 4 weeks. Top 4 from that make the semi-finals and the finals. It would just iron out any issues, and you wouldn't be seeing the same fixtures week in, week out.
Well, it's interesting that after that, and it was an announcement that for the first time in a long time, players have spoken out, and quite vocally as well. Mike De Decker, I'm not sure he was advised particularly well with not 1 outburst but 2 on the PDC.
Well, he's the first one ever to win a Sky Major that has never been in the Premier League in its history. Does he have a point to moan? Not really. I'm a huge De Decker fan, and I've chuffed to bits to see him win a biggie. he's not backed it up, and you've got to back it up, or you've got to be highly ranked. Unfortunately, his ranking, despite winning the Grand Prix, still isn't even high enough to be considered. I'm gutted for him, because he probably, if other things may have not worked out the way they did, he may have had a sniff. But remember, look, Noppert's never got a sniff. Won the UK Open, Gilding.
We've had European champions left out.
Yeah, Ross Smith left out. So yeah, it's not a new thing. But I get their gripes. I get their gripe. If I don't want a major, the problem is, even if he'd have sort of been a top 16 player and then won a major, I think he'd have been in. But yeah, tough for him. But there you go.
We all know speaking out isn't particularly good sometimes. Will you have some apologies to make when he gets back, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I sort of get Chizzy's gripe as well. What was he, 6 at the time?
6th, yeah.
But again, I mean, he showed a bit of form at the Worlds, certainly better than...
But still lost.
But was involved in a cracker, and his form going in, I don't know, it's quite funny. Like, you look at some players and you think, you forget them throughout the year, but he must have had a great year, or we've gone through that little transition period where...
Well, I think he's defending his 4 Euro Tour wins this year, so that's £100,000 straight away, or whatever it is.
That's him outside probably the top 10.
That's what I mean. Like, I think it was 2 years ago where he had that unbelievable European Tour.
I think the way the selection committee, I think they probably look at those things deeper than maybe we do, and his form was not good enough. I was surprised. Again, absolutely love Nathan Aspinall to bits. Love watching him play. Great fella on and off the hockey. But that one was a surprise to me. I thought they may have given him a year just to get himself, well, not a year, but that sort of period of the Premier League to maybe get somewhere back. But I'm pretty sure if he didn't think he could manage, or the arm wouldn't hold up, I don't think he would have taken it. So it's a good indication that Nathan's in a good place right now, which is great news. Yeah,
and look, but it's interesting when you hear players and say, this is what Chizzy said, picking players because they're walk-ons shouldn't happen. Look, now Nathan is an incredible player. That won't be is his walk-on incredible? Yes, it is. But when players are now saying things like this, it's opening up doors and avenues that perhaps don't need to be opened.
No, I mean, listen, Nathan, the popular players are popular for a reason. Their personality comes across on stage. And that's what the Premier League is a party. Like, they're selling the game to the casuals that may have not been before, or just want to experience it for the first time. They wouldn't, and they've got to provide that entertainment. And whether it be, look at Peter Wright.
Yeah.
Listen, his ranking was down. He finished bottom, and he still got in again. Because he's popular, he's a personality, and let's have it right, one of the best players ever to play the game. And unfortunately for Chizzy, although he's an incredible dart player, he's not going to get that same credit as a Peter Wright did. Peter Wright finished bottom, let's put him back in. He's a great player. He's won world titles, won majors, one of the best to do it, and he's a personality. And he although it's already sold out, it's still commercially. If you were putting on an exhibition. You put, and I don't want to use Dave as an example, but it could be anybody, right? Dave Chisnell or Peter Wright. Who do you think you'll sell the most tickets for?
Peter Wright.
And I know that before anybody goes, he's already sold out before they advertised it. Sort of. But commercially as well, there's other avenues that the PDC have to look at. Merchandise, viewing figures.
Media as well.
Media, selling the rights to places that may not have taken it. Same people who are moaning about the World Seniors, which I'm sure we'll talk about it anyway. Listen, if you think you can do it better, have a go. You take 32 players that nobody knows to a broadcaster and a sponsor and go, do you want a bit of that? It's a bit like putting on a fight and renting out the O2 with 2 area
with me and you going to make
area title contenders that no one's heard of. Going, oh, do you want to buy that?
Yeah.
No, mate, I don't. Like, fucking hell. Like, honestly, problem is now people have the platforms that have a very, very stupid opinion, who don't know anything about the business or the industry. The reason Barry and Eddie are two of the greatest promoters that our country's ever produced, it's because they understand the industry. They understand what it takes to put bums on seats and people in front of their TVs. And that's why these decisions are always made. They're not made because anyone's got an agenda or, you know, someone's their favourite. If you're not doing the business, you don't get the business, and that's it.
Right, just picking this back up to be at the recording time. Yeah, look, obviously on the World Seniors, a couple of bits. Another one that's not happy, Keith said his say on social media.
And again, if you make yourself unpopular by having an opinion, you'll get overlooked. I don't like. Listen, me and Matt Porter have had a couple of crosswords in for as long as he's been involved, right? And that's mainly been caused by me speaking out of turn.
I was like, you talking to me probably.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, that's right. Or no, sometimes like my behaviour when I was a player was questionable, and but I'll sit down with him and go, I'm not sure about that, mate. And he'll go, why? What's wrong with it? And I go, well, I'm looking at it from this angle. And he'll go, well, think about it from this point of view. And I go, oh yeah, to be honest. Yeah. To be honest, you're right. But I wouldn't, you know, you can't run a promotion down and then expect them to go, oh, would you like to play in it? And it's just daft. I don't understand it. Like, listen, I'm as shocked as anybody. I've been given another invite, but I'm not going to, you know, I wasn't going to turn. Well, I was questionable, but yeah. So you know, it's one of those. I can understand from one side, like the people complaining, but what they got to also understand is the money they were burning on that tour, and it wasn't supported. Use it. I say it in the pub, right? Use it or lose it. Use your local pubs. Use your local stores. Shop locally. Because if you don't use it, you'll lose it. And it's just that tour, that seniors tour, was no different. People didn't bother with it, but it was originally a flawed idea in the first place, really. But fortunately now things have changed and they've moved on, and they're still giving people opportunities, and there's still chances to qualify. So and again, don't moan, do something about it. Get better or don't play.
Well, on the scenes itself, the best field we've seen on BBC, on TNT. Yeah. Looks really, really good for a few weeks' time at the Tavern.
Yeah, super exciting. Sort of sad in a few ways for Vincent, Merv, and Simon, but their loss is our gain, isn't it? Or the fans' gain. They get to see them in an environment where they're not going to be protected. You can see them, and they'll love it as well. Last year, I was sat on a table with the fans. It was brilliant. Me, Co Stompy, Roland Sholton, Steve-O, Daryl Fitton, Tony O'Shea, Russ, and we're just sat on a table amongst all the fans together having a chat. And that's how it used to be. And I think, well, we've seen now Steve has enjoyed the Super Series this week. He'll love just going back and being able to just be a dart player and also be a fan and meet the fans, because that's very much what it's like. You sort of, it is very old school and it's enjoyable. And I think that'll be another reason why it will continue to get more and more popular. And again, next year you may see even more players sort of drop off the main tour and give the seniors a crack.
Well, talking of seniors, this is the exciting bit that we're going to get into. The Circus Tavern will be the last competitive darts that Chris Mason throws as a player.
Yes, it's I've given it a year, probably 18 months, and not much has changed. I'm not sure whether I'm not good enough. Well, there's several factors: not being good enough, not being fortunate enough, not getting any kind of rub whatsoever, and the demands and the time. I think that's probably why I've got so much empathy for the players. I'm just dabbling at it, and it's horrendous. Like everything sort of and it can nothing can take precedence over what I do for a job and the pub. But ultimately, everything just sort of seems to be. I'm getting married next year. I've got a business to run. I've also got a career in the media, which, and again, it's just you can't do anything in half measures. And I've always been one of those. You know, when I got back involved in the fitness industry, I didn't do it by halves, did I? I was personal training for 4 hours a day and training for 2-3 hours a day, and did that for sort of 8 years until COVID. And even during COVID, I was running outdoor classes and then so when I sort of said, I remember saying to you a year ago, right, I'm going to give this a proper go for a year. Horrendous. And I grew up in a generation where if you go into a pub, you have a pint. If I have a practice, I have a pint, and then you have another pint, another pint, and then before you know it, every day you're drinking. And again, it's a mental health thing for me. I can't, I quit originally because I mentally was just fried, and a year of being committed and literally trying my ass off. I've practiced. I probably practiced more in the last year than, not obviously the time scale, but when I was bang at it, I practiced as much as I did in those days, and again, I think the harder the try, they say the harder you try, the luckier you get, or something. No, I don't know. I'm not sure what the saying is, but yeah, it's just not worked out for me, and I want to use my time more wisely than getting all bitter and salty about not being able to win, and I want to do more in the seniors. I want to, whether it be a role on the media side of it, or maybe a role deeper within the system of looking how we can improve it, maybe working with broadcasters, something where I can, something where my time will be better served, and it will certainly, for the viewers, be better served if I was nowhere near a dartboard, and certainly for me it'd be better.
Well, again, you touched on when we first did it, going back to a place that you weren't sure you wanted to go to, and go up to 2020. You were the fittest I'd ever seen you, and look, you touched on that. You are of that generation where you have to drink to play, not like the modern generation.
No.
And that demands of drinking 3-4 days in a row and so on takes its toll. And going back to those places, was it tough?
Yeah, it was horrendous. And again, I'm not saying, listen, a lot of the modern dart players do keep fit, they do look after themselves. The drinking culture is completely different. Not completely eradicated, but certainly different to it was back in my day. But playing darts on a Tuesday night and waking up on a Wednesday morning and you're all fuzzy and you think, right, can I go to the gym? Nah, I think I'll have a throw this afternoon. And then the pub's closed and you think, oh, I'll have a pint, another pint, and then the lads come in when you open, when you have another pint, and next thing you know, you're on the piss all the time. And that's not dart's fault, that's my fault. But again, it was, the generation I brought up, you went to the pub, you had a game of darts, you had a pint, and that was it. And that's how I was always done it. And can I play without a drink? Yeah, if no one's watching. But that ain't no good when you're playing on TV or playing in a pub where people are going, oh look. And again, it's the pressure, the expectation, and my fear of failure. It's knocked me about a bit. Don't get me wrong, I've absolutely loved it, and when this comes out and when I do go to the tavern in a couple of weeks' time, I will thank everybody involved, involved and all the players and all the staff, because I have had an amazing time and I've loved it. Although at the same time, it's not good for me. The whole culture side of the sport's just not good for me. And once I get that out of the way, bit of rehab, but at home, and back in the gym, and I'm back to doing what. And it's not really a retirement, because I never really made a comeback. Before anybody wants to write in the notes, well, how can you retire? You're a wank. I did win a TV tournament, let's put it that way, and 11 ranking titles, and played for my country. If you've done more than that, feel free to comment. If you haven't, listen, it's lovely to have been a part of and try. I hope I've helped them promote it, and like I said, I want to spend my time more usefully, and I want to do something in the seniors, but I don't want, not from a playing point, but not necessarily from a commentator's point of view either. But I don't know, maybe put myself in an industry where I can use what I've learned for the past 30 odd years and try and do some good rather than go up there and put myself through the ringer.
Also as well, obviously modern day fans will know you from ITV and Talk Sport, where some of them wouldn't even realise that you were a player and could play. And you've introduced them. Hang on a minute. I think I got to number 3 in the BDO in the world. I got to number 11 in the PDC. I was considered for the Premier League, and then they changed the ranking to a 2-year system, and then I got back up to 16. But guess who was number 1? So that every weekend getting pumped by Taylor on a Saturday and pumped by Taylor on a Sunday. I won 11 world ranking titles. I played for my country. Played in every TV tournament that was available to me. I made the semis of the match play, semi of the Masters, back-to-back semis in the Worlds. I had an amazing time. It would I beat everybody that I played against, whether it be once or twice. It was a great time, and if I wouldn't have had what's wrong with me, who knows how I could have gone. I don't have emotional depression. If people may not know the story, I don't produce the chemicals in my brain that allow me to be. And it's not bipolar, because that's a completely different thing. It's all about serotonin and chemicals in the brain. So it's not a life choice. It's not because I've been to jail and I'm a criminal. Listen, I've had an amazing time, and I'd like to think now that I can I just want to apply myself somewhere and help the sport that's been unbelievably unkind as a player, but kind to me as a person. And I love what I'm doing. I'm doing more work for the PDC this year. I'm doing more work for radio. Doing more work for television. Doing more kind of things like this with you. And I may slip back into the podcast world, because I think I was a bit ahead of my time, wasn't I? You remember when I was doing what you're doing now, but unfortunately, part of my illness makes me want everything now. And I was like, what's going on? I didn't have the patience that you had to build a brand. I may go into something that I can't seem to avoid controversy, because it's quite funny. If you're confident, you're arrogant. If you have an opinion, you're nasty. The irony of everybody out there having an opinion, not a very nice one, because they don't know the facts. They believe everything they read. Ironically, most of them don't read an article. You know what I mean? They don't read. They don't read.
they go, oh yeah, that's what he said. Oh yeah, it must have happened. You know, and it's tiring. And people go, oh, you don't take it seriously. I don't. It's not that I don't take anything seriously. It was decades ago, 2 decades ago, and most of the things never happened. There's stories that are made up. You wouldn't honestly think I would be in this position
100%.
if I was a criminal.
100%.
Like, please, like, it's just, and it's tiring. And we go about this: be kind, be nice. But yeah, some of the things that I get accused of are
absurd.
Yeah, like, where do you get what? You know, it's like flat earthers. Like, really? Where'd you get this shit from?
Is the earth not flat?
No, unfortunately, no, mate. No.
Sorry.
Unfortunately, you can't fall off the edge. Yeah, it's just it's tough, but I've sort of become thick-skinned to it all a little bit. But when we sit down and have a chat, it's quite funny to sort of look on, and if you think it affects me, my God, like, my life's perfect, as perfect as it can be.
You've got the pub, you've got Charlotte, you've got your media work.
Yeah, like I'm all right. Like, I don't want really anything else. I love this sport as a fan, and I love being involved, and I'm very grateful to have been given the opportunities by Sky and BBC back in the 90s, and getting to work with the likes of Sid and Dave and Gwynny, and learn so much, and learn off people like Jeff Stelling as well, like back in the day, and so many great people in our sport have been so kind with their time and advice and encouragement that I'm loving it, mate. It's great, and it's getting better, isn't it?
Yeah, we'll come back to that in a second. But if your last game on TV is to be against Mark Dudbridge, that's a fitting way to sign off, isn't it?
It is, actually. I'll tell you why. Because when I decided I was going to turn pro, me and Mark are similar age. He was super talented. His dad was a fabulous player, as is his sister, and her fella Dean. And he wasn't really interested, but he used to put himself out to come and practice with me over in Bedminster all the time. And was he better than me then? Probably close, if not better, equally as good. And we used to play for hours and hours, and I used to say to him, mate, have a go. And he was like, nah, I'm not interested. And I was like, my God, you're so good. And then our careers didn't really, he went, wait, obviously qualified for the Masters and went on, won the World Masters, and then he made finals of the match play. Premier League was in, and I had an unbelievable sort of 10 years or so, but we certainly never played on TV. We would have played locally in local knockouts or in league games or whatever, though we used to play on the same side most of the time. But it'll be quite nice. We sort of had a rivalry, but not personally.
Yeah.
Like, the people made that rivalry and made that.
You were both from Bristol.
Yeah, made that combat, and we were both from different sort of sides of Bristol. It's quite a strange one, because there was never. I never seen him as a rival, because we weren't really at our best at the same time.
Yeah.
But I love W to bits, and he's still a fabulous player. And if he does beat me, I hope he goes on and he can go on and win it. He's certainly good enough.
Obviously, going back to the sport, and you touched it now, the position we're in, we're seeing, obviously, the Littler effect is real, and what he's done to change the landscape of the sport is incredible. And these kids now coming through that are fearless, it is genuinely exciting times for the sport.
Well, on Monday, as you know, the pub sponsors Jamie Caven's Academy. We had 26 newbies turn up on Monday. There was over 70 kids there.
Brilliant.
For a little local darts academy, and kids ranging from 5-6-year-olds to 17-18-year-olds, and the buzz and seeing these kids loving having a go at darts, that'll do for me. That kind of thing is unbelievable, because Luke Littler was one of those, going to the JDC academies, being encouraged by his mum and dad, being taken to places to learn and improve. And whereas in my day, having a career as a dart player was a bit, your parents would go, just knock it on the head.
Go and get a trade under you. Yeah.
Go and do an apprenticeship, go university, go college, do something, don't be silly. Where being a footballer was, because there's always been a bit of money in football. But now you're seeing parents, and I talk to them every Monday night when we go and help out at the academy. What should I do with him? Where should I take him? What practice routine should he do? The parents are looking at Luke Littler and thinking, that could be my child's future, replicating what Luke's done. And listen, we're all benefiting from Luke Littler, all of us. I've never been busier. I've never done more media work in my whole life. Like, it's insane, the calls to go on TV shows and radio programs and do interviews. It's madness. And we all get paid. I don't get paid for this.
Well, you know it's bad when I even get called up to five Live and stuff like that.
But again, that's what it needs, though.
Yeah.
You know, there's no point. That's like you calling me up about football. I wouldn't have a fucking clue, mate. Don't worry, it's on in the pub. I thought I'd go, what was the score? But they need to use people who are involved in the sport to give an honest reflection of what's going on. And listen, you know my feelings on Luke. Well, both of them really, both Lukes. I think they've been unbelievable so far, and I don't see it. You know, this bubble burst thing.
Don't see it happening.
I don't see it happening.
It's going to the stars at the moment.
It is going to the stars.
Well, you look at, obviously you've followed my journey for a long time, and the growth of OD has been incredible as well.
Yeah. And it's actually, I've sort of been a part of it from day dot. So to watch your evolution and watch it as a whole from now, all the watch along stuff and the live lounge, and then of course the live lounge live
the sort of spiritual home at the
spiritual
pub.
home. I've already had people asking about it this year.
Right, we know it's going to happen.
Yeah.
We've got to work out when the world is going to start.
And other media outlets wanting to come and film us filming.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, sure, come along.
Yeah.
Because it's good. It's good. And you give a fair reflection. Everyone's got. Listen, I don't think the PDC is too precious. You know, as long as you're fair and tell the truth, I think they're pretty much like, well, crack on, and that's what I'd like to think that we all try and do. We all try and give an honest reflection as fans of our sport to try and improve it or promote it accordingly.
Well, again, off the back of this Q school as well, it's just happened.
Yeah, that needs to change as well.
Well, I was about to say, look, it makes obscene amount of money. We know this, but the right people don't come through.
No.
We've seen that.
Don't tell me there was, how many cards was there from 16? No.
29 across both Q schools.
Yeah. So what did the UK get? 4
winners and 9 on the order of merit.
I don't think there was 9 better players than John O'Shea there, do you?
No, his numbers say that as well.
Yeah.
I think he lost to John Henderson, Tom Sykes, and 2 daily winners or something like that.
Hey, and listen, Tom Sykes, he's another one. He's a fabulous player, but I would honestly like to see it. And I know. Listen, if you have an opportunity to make money as a business and you turn it down, you're not doing good business for your shareholders or your business partners. But I honestly believe the tour card holders should be done on a relegation and a promotional idea via the Challenge Tour. So if you've got 16 players dropping off, the top 16 of the Challenge Tour should replace them. That's how I do it. I do it on a relegation and promotion idea. I'd still have a Q school.
I still like the idea of winning, so that dream is still there, that you have one daily winner a day who wins it outright.
Yeah, 4 of them.
But the rest of it is
4 in Europe, 4 in the UK.
Yeah.
And then.
But the rest of it is done off of the Challenge Tour.
Done off in a promotional and relegation.
Yeah, no, I don't dislike that at all.
and how I would do it as well, because they've got a problem with everybody that goes to Q School does then have the option to play in Challenge Tour.
You can imagine if they all turned up.
Right, so what we need is some filter. So I think you play over 4 days. If you average under 60, you can't play the following year.
Well, there was a couple.
I don't know.
In stage one, that I'm not very good anymore, but I was better than numbers they were chucking still.
Maybe I could win a game at Q School if I get a decent draw. Maybe I should go there.
Should go.
Yeah, at least one of us would win a game. I think there needs to be something, because I get the fascination of doing it. Maybe I don't know. I don't know.
I get it, and I think there should be one. I just don't think it's set right at the moment.
Yeah, I think there should be some way. I mean, they do effectively have a pre-Q School, don't they? Because
just stage one.
It's stage one, but that doesn't stop Dave from turning up, averaging 40.
Yeah, exactly.
And then he's available to play on the Challenge Tour next year or this year, and then you say, imagine if they all turn up. It'd be carnage, wouldn't it?
There'd be Milton Keynes for 12 days.
I think Dave said to me there was something like 840 odd eligible Challenge Tour players, 841 or so. I'm like, well, how can we come up with and that's the kind of thing I want to start doing. I want to start looking at things where, you know, how can we come up with solutions? That's the kind of thing I want to start doing, and I doubt if I'll get to do it with the PDC, but I can still come up with my own kind of ideas, and like the World Masters. Funny that. Looking forward to that at the end of the month.
I'm buzzing for the World Masters.
Yeah, I'm doing the qualifiers on the Wednesday.
We're going to live stream the qualifier.
Oh, brilliant. So that'd be interesting to do the qualifiers, and that would be my sort of. Well, it'd be perfect because obviously I'm doing the commentary for ITV, so to actually get a look behind the scenes and watch qualifiers, I think that'd give me a great insight into those who get through.
Yeah, no, I'm buzzing for it, mate. It's an absolute pleasure catching up with you as always, buddy.
Always, pal.
Can't thank you enough.
Take care, mate.